What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the YouTube Barber Academy. And before we even get started today, I want to shout out to Worth Barber Supply because they just sent me two of these really dope units. One is the Von the Goat Lowepro FX. It's red. It comes with a fade blade. We're going to get into that, my full review to follow. But this is like a first impressions video for these two. And then the other is the nicest single foil shaver I've ever seen. It does things that none of the others do. And Babyliss must be listening because they've even put the micro USB port, which you know I love. Actually, it's a USB-C port, so it's a little more future-proof than even that. 5.5 hours of runtime. So we're going to get into that. But if you choose to buy any of this stuff, you guys can use my code Eddie10 with Worth Barber Supply, and you guys can save 10%. Let's start out with the Lowepro FX. All right, so what you're going to notice when you pull this out of the package, the packaging is just dope. I mean, it's one of the coolest packages, and you guys know I got my product wall growing, and it has made the newest addition to it. However, this is a little different than your average Lowepro. Now, your Lowepro came with a wedge blade before, and this one comes with a fade blade. Let's do a little sound check. Pretty quiet. I did have a couple little funny things happen at first. The first thing was it was randomly shutting off, and I just had to turn it right back on, and it fired up, but that did kind of stop. And the other thing that happened a little bit was this being a fade blade actually got pretty damn hot. My very first customer I used it on, it got so hot that I couldn't even touch his skin with it. But I was kind of almost like ready to throw in the towel and not use it. But Chad was like, hey, dude, why don't you try putting some oil on it? I don't know why that didn't occur to me, but we put some oil on it. And since then, I didn't really have it get super hot. It definitely gets warm. And I'll actually give you a temperature reading here in a second. All right, it's 10 a.m. and we'll come back here. I'm gonna let it run for like 20, 30 minutes maybe. Okay, it's been 17 minutes. It is still running. Obviously, this is under no resistance here. But let's see. That's hot, yo. 124. But I gotta say, it cooled down really quick. I mean, literally, it's been not even 30 seconds, and it's not even hot anymore. So, I mean, I guess they run a little hot, but at the same time, if you just are setting them down in your process, it's probably not gonna be an issue. So, as you can see, it's 71 decibels in noise. It weighs 337 grams. And just to compare it to the shaver real quick, which I actually think is interesting, the shaver almost weighs the same amount. This shaver is pretty heavy at 318 grams. I mean, it's very close in weight to a clipper. Now, the other thing you're gonna notice about the shaver is it has this little UV light. So whenever you take the cap off and you put it back on, this is gonna stay on for, I don't know what period of time or whatever. I think it's like 30 seconds or something like that. But what it does, what it claims to do is it cleans 99% of germs, which I think is absolutely genius. And when you think about it, these are some of the dirtiest tools because this is like right up against the skin. So obviously I would still clean this the right way, but it's kind of nice to know that this is also killing germs too. The other thing about the shaver is it's definitely gonna reflect pretty heavily off the light. It's a little slippery in the hand, so I might get a grip, but the thing that I thought was most interesting is this single foil shaver is so powerful that it could pretty much replace most of your double foil shavers. It's not as powerful as an FX3. It's not as powerful as a Rebel. I tested both of those, but if you didn't do like a ton of skin fades, you probably could get away with this without a problem. Obviously, you guys know I'm a huge fan of using single foils. There's so many reasons to use it. For one, you can use it to adjust your blend at the end. You can use it to tap down. You can use it to kind of get that blend in between your trimmer and your shaver. Sometimes that little last line won't buff out. This is a tool I use a lot. And being that it's single foil, I could just use one of the corners. I can really get precise with this. The other thing it's really nice for is if I'm doing a low fade, a taper, or something where I just don't have a lot of room to work with, that's a situation that I absolutely love using these in. And the fact that this one has a USB-C, which makes it a little more future-proof, and 5.5 hours of runtime. So what you get in the box, pretty much nothing. You have this little indentation on the back that feels nice to hold, but it does feel a little bit slippery. I work with gloves, so it's not as bad, But if you were not working with gloves, you might want to put a grip on this because, you know, I don't think it would break if you drop it. I mean, this thing feels really durable. I'm not going to go run it over with my truck, even though that is something I have done in the past. I did not compare it against the Uno just yet. I probably should have. I had it sitting right there. But I was just kind of enjoying using this and kind of using this and seeing what it's worth. Let's do a little sound check. So much power. I mean, it's really strong. The other thing that's kind of funny is I noticed if you put the cap on with it on, it'll shut it off. I just thought that was cool. Babyliss has succeeded in making a really good travel unit here because when you put this lid on and you throw this in the bag, I mean, it's on here secure. Let's see, what would it take for me to drop it? Okay, that's what it would take. But no, it's on here pretty secure. I have a hard time believing this would fly off in your bag. But if you shake it really hard, I guess it would. Really, no complaints whatsoever with this. I love to see this, and I love to see the innovation moving forward. So I don't know what the price point is. Let's look it up. I mean, I'm kind of excited to see what they make with their next double foil shaver. Holy crap, this is the double foil shaver. What am I looking at? So the double foil shaver is going to be dope. This is the one that's $179. I was not even aware that there's a double foil version coming, and I am totally getting that. That is so cool. All right, so as you can see, the Babyliss Pro UV single foil shaver, it is retailing for $149.95. You guys can use my code Eddie10. You can save 10% on that, but it's $150 for a single foil shaver. That's a lot of money because the Uno is something like $50. And like performance-wise, I'm going to have to shoot that out. I would have to think that this probably outperforms it by a little bit, but by that much money, I'm not sure. But the UV foil part of it is really cool because it's cleaning that shaver every time you turn it on. I mean, in fact, I set this down a few minutes ago and it's still on. Now, I had no knowledge that they were coming out with this, nothing prior to. This was kind of a surprise to me when it got here. However, they have a Pro UV double foil shaver coming, and if it has this type of quality, this is going to be an amazing shaver. And I could see pretty much it looks the same as this one from the picture, but only time will tell, and I'm sure Fort Worth Barber Supply will be sending one out pretty soon. So it looks like the double foil is going to be $179.95, and the other one's going to be $149.95, which that's some pretty expensive shavers. I mean, when you compare it to, say, like the Rebel is only like $80-something. I mean, you could have two Rebels for the price of this, I guess, or you could have this. But this thing has that UV shaver, it has the micro USB, and it looks like it's probably going to have an extensive battery time. Only time will tell. There's no other information available here, but I just think that's really cool. Okay, and this Babyliss Lowepro Influencer Edition, the Von the Goat Edition, really sick looking box, really cool looking art. This one's going to be $179.99, and I don't have any other information up here other than it looks like it's shipping March 24th. So if you guys are interested in this, they also have it in yellow and blue. All of them have some really cool artwork associated with it. Looks like this yellow one looks pretty sick too. I really like that. I went for the red, kind of matches the shop colors. If they did an edition where they had like all three different lids, I think that would have been cool. But yeah, man, these are some pretty cool clippers, and that's a really cool shaver. And shout out to Fort Worth Barber Supply. I really appreciate you guys sending this over to me so I could do first impressions videos like this. You guys could check out the weights on all this stuff, and I'm going to compare it real quick to a Mythic. Mythic is kind of like the heaviest clipper I've ever seen. It comes in at 472 grams, the Mythic, and 337 grams for the Lowepro FX. I do have this client right here. Basically, I was trying to do this a little bit different because he has a little bit of acne on his head, and I didn't want to go all the way down the skin. But I'm going to tell you something about his hair. Always, when I use pretty much anything, it pulls his hair. I mean, any trimmer, anything that's just slightly off, I don't know what it is with his hair, but I will pull his hair plenty of times. And I got to give some credit where credit is due. This blade, even though I used it in a, I would say, irresponsible way by just going straight into the bulk with the open taper, it did not pull. And this was after we oiled it, so I used it this whole time, and it got warm, but it did not get hot. So all in all, if you like that magic clip feel, if you like that classic feel of that, you're gonna probably like this. If there's anything I didn't really like about the Lowepros is it's actually, I should say it's kind of like a plus and a minus, because the Lowepro has this indentation for your thumb, which I like, but it kind of locks you into that position a little bit. And if you were left-handed, I'm not sure if that would work out as good. But I like it too because for newer barbers, I've noticed that they're always kind of holding it a little bit too low and they don't get the control. So actually it kind of forces you to hold it up here. But there's times where I want to like hold it outside of the thumb and my thumb is resting like above and I don't have as much of a grip. Probably just a personal preference. I love the way the back feels. I love the bumps. I wish this had the USB-C charging because if it did, it'd be a very difficult clipper to beat. I'm not sure what the runtime is. Let's check that out real quick. I'm gonna go back to Worth Barber Supply. All right, so it says up to a 2.5 hour runtime for the Lowepro edition. I'm seeing 6,800 RPMs, 13,600 strokes per minute, lithium ion battery. And that's about it. I mean, that's about all the information I got here. I don't think that's any different. So let's check that to the original Lowepro. Something that I did forget to mention is it does have the clicks. I mean, you can hear it click when you move the taper lever. I absolutely love the fact that it has that. It makes it easy for me to communicate. It makes it easy for me to stay organized. So, I mean, I'm a big fan of using the clicks. Do you guys like using the clicks? Drop it in the link below. I found the information I've been looking for. The old Lowepro is exactly the same, 6,800 RPMs, 13,600 strokes per minute. It says 2+ hours on the old one, and the new one says up to 2.5 hours. So I would say using it all day, I didn't charge it, so it's probably close to accurate. It was about a half day. I think I did about maybe 10 cuts with it, and I did not charge it, so that's really cool. And then I guess the only last thing that I forgot to mention also that I thought was pretty cool is both the UV single foil shaver and the Lowepro FX finally have some continuity in charging. You can actually plug the charger into both of these. It looks to be exactly the same. Now don't quote me. There is one little number different on one charger versus the other. However, they do both work. And you know, if they have a problem, I guess I just screwed it up. But it appears to be that they're using the same chargers now, which is really cool because one thing that I've always had a complaint about with Babyliss is they have so many great machines, but all of them have like different chargers. And every time I use it for a while, I throw it in a drawer, I start to forget what goes to what. And it's really nice to see some continuity in charging. And I really hope that they go forward with these USB-C ports across the board. Because I mean, how easy would that be? Then we'd be in business. So with that being said, man, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. And if you like it, if you're going to cop one, let me know in the comments down below. Do me a favor, man. If this video helped you out in some way, just go ahead and smash that like button. Drop me a comment and let's keep it locked because we got other great content on the way. I will be dropping full tutorials out of some of these cuts that you just seen here today. All right. With that being said, this is the YouTube Barber Academy. I'm Mr. Dirty Barber, and I'm out of here.
You know, there's going to be a couple of hairs sticking out that are still attached, but this thing keeps them so clean. Now, if you look at this, all the hair just sticks to it and not to the client, which is great. And then between that and the cape, but just a few hairs here are connected. I'm going to shave them off with a razor as I do this razor line. But I could see, actually, it looks like the foil shaver might have irritated them just a tiny bit at the very bottom. Probably just those longer hairs, really not the shaver's fault. But overall, I gotta say, that single foil shaver is amazing.